pumpkin pie. First, we need a crust. Now you can buy a crust, or you can impress your family and friends by making it from scratch. It's really easy. 3 ingredients to make a pie crust. 1, flour. 1 cup of flour, all-purpose flour. 1/3 cup vegetable shortening. If you like lard, you can use lard. I don't like lard. It kind of tastes a little bitter to me. You know, there's a couple of ways you can measure shortening. One is get one of these cute little doohickeys, or water displacement with the measuring cup and water. I don't do it because it's just messy. 1/3 cup. Oops. Scrape it off, goes in there. Little bit of salt, about 1/4 teaspoon. Now use a pastry cutter or a fork. You can cut, because you want to cut the shortening into the flour. You don't want to stir it in and gooey it. Cut it. Now some people can do this by hand. I just can't do that. So you can see it's making up like, it's starting to look like crumbled cheese actually. Some off of there. Okay. Now this is what makes it flaky. So you have this kind of consistency. Now you're going to need water to bind it together. Okay, so it's got 4 ingredients, but it's just water. You're going to dribble a little bit in, and you're going to take your fingers and kind of work it a little bit, tossing it. And it's going to start clumping together. You can start squeezing it a little bit. Now the trick is don't overwork it, then you get a really hard crust. Okay. Now when it squeezes together to a ball, might have a few little crumbs left, that's fine. It'll all be in there now. To roll it out, don't use flour. You can use, or even a mat. You can, if you have a thin, really thin, flexible mat to roll it on, that'd be great. If not, you can use wax paper. I'm going to use saran wrap, because this makes it easy to transfer it. I hate this thing. Does this happen to everybody? Overlap it pretty good so it doesn't come apart on you. All right, there's that. Now we're going to put our pie, all the pie in there. That's right, it's all going to get mushed together when you roll it. Now you're going to put another layer on top. Can't wait till I use this up. Anybody knows of a good one that doesn't, it actually works right, that'd be nice. Okay, you take your rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, anything that's heavy and round would work. Glass, but that's kind of small. You just roll from the center out into a circle. Might sometimes have to lift this up because it might tuck under. Might have to put a little more pressure to get that middle thinner. If you like a really thick crust, you might want to increase your dough a little bit. I don't. I like a thin crust. Now I'm going to lift this top layer.
What's the purpose of the saran wrap?
So you don't use flour. If you use more flour, you're going to have a hard crust. Okay, because you want your crust to actually be a little sticky. Because you get a hard crust, okay. Because it's got to go in here, and then Now before I put it in there, I'm going to spray this with Pam or any cooking spray. That way if you get any leakage underneath or anything, it doesn't stick. Again, spray over your sink. So just lift it up, see? Then we can just lay it on top. Goes right down in. You can adjust it, and your pie crust is not going to break up. Now, here's the little trick here to gently, because it's a stickier crust, it comes out much flakier, lighter, not so tough. Like I said, you can use plastic, you can do it with wax paper. I think it's a little sticky. Okay, now I get a little hole. It does mend itself. Okay, now I need a little knife, so I'll just use one of these. If you like a big fat edge, you can do that too. But since I'm a little shy on this side, we'll take a little bit of crust. We'll just fix it a little. Like I said, I'm not a pro, but there. Just make sure she's down into the corners without any air behind it. I have to lift the edge away to get the air out. Okay, now let me take a fork and just run it along the edge a little bit. If you have a bigger edge, that's good. This one doesn't have a big edge. I wonder what the purpose of that is. Pretty edge, keep it from shrinking back down. Now that that's done, we're going to go in and make the filling. Okay. Start with a can of pumpkin, or you can bake your own pumpkin. Get pie pumpkin. Don't use a big jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, that's nasty. Little pie pumpkins, you can cut the little stem off, cut them vertically down, open them up, clean out the insides, and you can roast them till they're done. But I just use this. That's going to go in our mixer. Well, I guess I can put everything over here. Make it easier. A whole can. This 1 can per pie. What size is this? 15, 16 ounces? Okay. We'll get her going. I did forget one thing. Put a couple eggs in there. I recommend breaking them into the, so you can see if there's any shells. 2 eggs. Now this is a 1/2 cup brown sugar, 1/2 cup white sugar. This is the important part right here. 1/2 teaspoon salt. 2 teaspoons cinnamon. And this is my own inventions here. I got 1 teaspoon ground cloves, 1 teaspoon nutmeg, and 1 teaspoon ground ginger. Do not use fresh ginger. Ground dried ginger. 1 teaspoon of each. You all go in there. Now you have the option if you want to put some vanilla in there. I don't. You can if you want. I don't see the point of it. Turn that off. Scrape down the sides. You want to get all the seasonings down in there. Okay. Now you're going to slowly add a can of evaporated milk. I'm going to do it slow or else it'll splash. And I didn't turn my oven on. Now I bake it at 350. They'll say, oh, you do it at 4 for 15 minutes. I don't do that. I don't cover my edges. I just do it at 350. Let that get all good and mixed. Doesn't take long. Did I mention I got a blue ribbon for this pie? I did. I knew it was some good competition. I mean, there wasn't just like 2 people, you know. There was like a bunch of, about at least a dozen in the area. I don't know. There was quite a few, quite a few. It's not like out of hundreds or anything. Now, to put this in, make sure there's no pie crust on the bottom. If you pour all this in here and transfer it, you're going to spill it because this is really liquidy. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it on the rack right there. We're going to pour it into it, most of it. Not quite all of it. Now we're going to finish shoving it in. Slowly. And here comes the fun part. Put your oven mitt on. Actually, I think it'd be better if I use the oven glove. That one size fits all does not. One size fits all. Now I'm going to pour the rest of this into a little measuring cup. You can use a spoon, a little measuring cup, anything that you can get in there to pour into it. Make sure you use an oven mitt or something so you don't burn yourself. Because this will actually shrink a little when you cook it. You can get all of it in there. Now, it's going to take more than an hour to cook. Most recipes say, oh, 40, 50 minutes. And you have like nah, I don't like it. I'm going to cook it till there's like some little bit of dark brown on top. And there's a slight crack. It's right before it gets dry, but it's still moist, and it's excellent. So, that's it. That'll take about, I'd say an hour, 15 minutes, hour, 30 minutes.